These advocates increased the power of blacks' votes in MS. Then there was a shortage of votes. Show title Hide title Voter restriction laws. Why do Republican states change these laws? Republican states are enacting various voter restriction laws in response to Trump's loss in 2020. Here's how this can affect midterm exams and 2024 elections. FAQ only. USA Today, Washington. Cassandra Welchlin and other community activists said on Tuesday that they begged voters who formed long queues at the voting centers in Jackson, Mississippi to stay and vote. They visited churches, fire stations, schools that served as voting places, offered snacks and water, hoped voters would last longer. They had to go to work, take their children or give up. It was absolutely disappointing, discouraging, said Welchlin, general manager of the Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable. But this also allowed me start working personally to improve it and really thinking about strategies help make sure it won't happen again. Civil rights groups have been targeting black communities in Mississippi for months, calling people to vote on Tuesday. This effort came after overthrow of the Jim Crow-era law, which reduced power of black voters in 2020. Although activists hoped that more voters would come and election officials would be prepared, some voters in a district where mostly black residents lived went to ballot centers that were inadequate on ballot papers. According to activists, some voters waited for 3 hours in the queue. In the state, which has a long history of discrimination in surveys, activists are concerned that, whether intentional or not, deficiencies and delays can bounce efforts to enable more black voters to vote. Nevertheless, civil rights groups promise that they will continue to increase their efforts to vote across the country before the 2024 elections. We are in a politically volatile atmosphere, said Derrick Johnson, head of the national NAACP and former head of the Mississippi NAACP State Conference. It is important to understand that our democracy cannot work without the vote of blacks. It is our duty to do everything possible to ensure that voters are educated, participate and vote effectively. We're not trying to point out anyone. Authorities explain what went wrong. At least 9 ballot boxes in Hinds County had a shortage of votes. Officials said reason for this was the confusion in ballot papers due to lack of training. Hinds County election officials said confusion has arisen in divided areas where multiple ballot papers are used. The divided region is a voting place where voters from 2 different regions go to vote. Hinds County's 2nd District Election Commissioner Ratoya Gilmer McGee, 4. He was dedicated to re-election like District Election Commissioner Yvonne Horton. For example, the region used by me and Mrs. Horton is Raymond 1. As a commissioner, I needed 300 ballot papers for my own style to help me vote. Horton would need more tea.